Looks like everyone's ahead of you with AI sometimes. I'll let you in on a little secret. You're either jumping headfirst into AI, trying every tool, or maybe you have a business with employees trying to figure out what's got you so excited. Because that's what first movers do. But most people aren't first movers, and things move slowly. It's a gap causing many to remain unsure and at the floor of what they can do, not rising to their potential, their ceiling. Listen to how Asana won back 3,000 hours for an example of how it works.
Threat. And the challenge that leaders in particular in organizations face right now is to manage this fear and transition from their employees seeing AI as a threat to viewing it as a tool that can really amplify their skill sets.
Seeing AI as a threat. Does that sound familiar? Well, in episode 41 of the AI Optimists, we focus on shattering your AI ceiling, showing you 3 growth drivers for small business and solopreneurs. And stay on to the end. I've got a special focus just on small business and solopreneurs of what to do and to get this going to get the advantage you deserve. Because growth driver number 1, remember this, introduce AI gently. Don't throw it at people like AI first. Instead of engineering speak, maybe we could discuss things in simple terms and engage people to try it out. Because an AI first model, which says, let's start with AI, see if we can just do it with that, really threatens people. And you can see how Asana played with that threat, not just in that example, but the way people feel. And in the AI space, we all love to discuss sentimentality analysis of data. It teaches us what people are doing, some ways that they're acting, their behaviors, and a little bit if they're happy, if they're not happy, how they're feeling. But now let's talk about listening and guiding the people we work with, even contractors, if you're a solopreneur, to get the most out of AI. And Holiday Extras is an Australian travel company following their employees' AI embrace. It was like a mini viral word of mouth, maybe movement, indicative both of the pliable company culture, but also of a great way to integrate AI by getting everybody involved as a team.
And I use the all in because you can't go sort of halfway with AI. You want to start slow, but at Holiday Extras, they worked with OpenAI and found that word of mouth is a great way to start AI engagement. And it doesn't always happen, but when it does, listen to David Norris, Chief Growth Officer of Holiday Extras. He says early ChatGPT users in the organization were so proud of the work they were doing, they couldn't help but tell colleagues. Employee word of mouth on the quality of work became an instant driver of ChatGPT adoption.
So why aren't there more like Asana or Holiday Extras or thousands of others succeeding with AI? Mostly, it's a communication disconnect. You have excited executives expect everyone will see things as they do, they're immersed in it, or you have a creator fixate on a single vision that a few understand, but they don't really get AI. And there are 3 big gaps, according to Rebecca Hinds, who we heard at the beginning, at working with Asana, about how executives and what she calls individual contributors who are working with it view the technology. There's an optimism gap. Executives see the promise and potential, but the contributors really don't. There's a transparency gap. The executives feel like they're an open book about AI. Ask us anything, let's do it. But the individual contributors, the employees, don't really feel that way, that it's really that open. And then there's resource training. 25% of executives claim that they gave a little bit of AI training, but only 11% of those people who are working for them agree with it. And even there, the numbers are so small that it's clear why things are moving slowly while the potential is huge. Because unlike AI, we're trying to slow things down and we're forgetting we need to work with people to let them know what AI is, how to work with it, and close these gaps to gain the benefit of AI in organizations. So how do we do that? First thing to suggest, start with people in training, not simply AI. Even if this is small or big, Start with people. Identify the low-hanging fruit of futile tasks that people have and can be automated, and engage them. Have them part of the process. Don't tell them, go figure out how to basically remove your job with AI, because that's what they hear. Maybe not what you're saying, but that's what they hear. So look at AI from the perspective of those who don't get it and help them. Growth driver number 2, what's your AI diet and what data are you feeding AI? We all know that the data and the way that you train it determines how efficient and effective your AI is going to be. But listen to Amanda Slavin, founder of Learning Frequency, show you how she uses data to help children learn.
What we're getting with AI and stuff, that we're actually going to be able to do something
You got
with that information.
That's right. And the thing about AI is having the right information to feed AI. It's not just so the right information to feed AI. When I've asked pretty big companies what they're doing in terms of, measuring engagement, they're like, "Oh, we're using AI to create more adaptive and, more personalized learning." I'm like, "But how are you using AI? What are you feeding AI?" So when you feed AI meaningful metrics, the 7 times data set versus a binary data set of just time and attention, you can create a more meaningful feedback loop for and when the player owns that information, they can start to create a more impactful learning journey for themselves. So that's the opportunities. You actually feed AI this information, the 7 times data set. The game becomes more impactful.
Yes, the games become more impactful. Gamifying AI integration, making it fun, starting with people and slowly adding in what AI is needed, is sort of the equivalent of what they're doing at Learning Frequency, in my opinion. So suggestions on this, look at your data. Understand that you really need to assess it and find out what matters, not just throw in all the data you can and make it a big soup. And old data. I mean, is your YouTube video from 2010 really match your current business and brand? How far back do you want to go with your data? And second suggestion is get compliance involved first. The biggest problem with AI startups, as well as larger businesses trying to integrate AI, is that privacy and security laws undermine numerous ventures because both sides sometimes haven't really thought it through. And this could take a long time. And bringing in the attorneys at the end of a long process is not where you want to begin. You may not even be able to use AI right now. So make sure privacy and security is covered. Now, as important as privacy and security is to your data, this understanding is key. Most people, growth driver number 3, most people don't get AI. Remember, they're not early movers. They're not in the mindset. They don't have that curiosity. And many early movers will be autodidacts. They teach themselves how to use things and then wonder why others can't do the same. Follow up and remember that those people coming in to use an AI tool or you trying to integrate it are running into something that Rob Beresford talked to me about in episode 29. He's the founder of Affiliate.ai and found very smart technical people were staring at that blank screen and running into a problem that he and I went and discussed.
It was funny, the blank slate, because it's still got the search box thing. Because one of my jokes with prompts was, I'm a writer, I'm good, I can figure out how to ask good questions, because that's really what it's about. But it's still got that really intimidating blank white space.
What do I do?
Which is Word, which is like, but I was laughing because in a separate pod I'm doing, I was looking at Character AI, which was getting 2-hour sessions, basically by putting a picture and a persona to this like person that's helping you. And in essence, that's sort of like an agent, but an agent with a face. Because what's funny is, as I'm not pushing you into like something like that, but it was fascinating to me that, to me, it's almost like if I humanize it, God, big quotes, I'm just putting a picture on, avatar it, does that, because one of the big fears is fear of the blank space in the prompt. And that's a really interesting finding that I don't think most people
and we do
think about.
like one of the most magical moments of products that we shipped are Because, effectively the user comes in and says, tell me about November's performance. And to do that, and large language models are slower than old school API call and response. There's also we're doing a lot of things under the hood to get a response. So one of the early products we shipped, you'd say tell me about performance in November, and it'd take us 10 seconds to respond to that query. Which is going to take you a lot longer than that to go get the data yourself, but it's still like 10 seconds where you're shouting into an empty cave. And so we kind of built these initial responses to the user to explain what the agents are doing to get your data. And so give me performance in November. Thanks for your question. We're going off to find your data. Right, we've got your data. We're analyzing your data. Right, we've analyzed your data. Here's your response. And just again, being a bit friendlier with the user, we've seen a step change in productivity of the tool. So I think you're 100% right.
See, it's not really that AI is difficult, it's new. And when people stare at that blank prompt box, you're asking them to fill it in with creativity, because if they don't do anything, what happens? So my suggestions is define your customer or employee or yourself floor and ceiling. What outcome might you experience? And at the beginning, it's going to be hard, so test it for the first 3 months. I mean, after all, using AI in the battlefield with all that data, that's one way that people show us, but not many of us are hopefully going to use it that way. In your business, how much can you execute on? And how are you measuring success? Because this is where you want to know where you're beginning, what your floor is, the least minimal you're going to get out of AI, and what's your potential, your ceiling. And work on that, because floors begin the process, ceilings develop over years. Since the floor is a minimum performance and the ceiling is top, it's pretty normal to start on the floor and go to the top, but many people get stuck because it takes a few years often of development of the whole team to collaborate, as you see in many of these companies. So be careful of the tendency to play around with a bunch of tools and follow the leader. You want to fit it into what people need to do. You want to know what their floors and ceilings are, help them review it. That's how you upskill and train them. And like Rebecca Hinds shared again, since the views of the executives are not often clearly understood, at least regarding AI, by the rest of the people to execute it, it's like, here's AI, figure it out, right? Well, work on your messaging and training, as around 25% might do a little training now. Early on, guide them to increases and improvement. Make this something that they can grow with, because the do-it-yourself is not recommended. And with that, I don't want you to do it yourself as a solopreneur or small business. So let me show you what I do in my program to help every business open up to AI at its own pace. Some are ready, some are technical. Holiday Extras has a very big buy-in in technology, and people who don't get it but work closely with technology and collaborate. That's one of the AI skills they keep talking about. That's what these companies do, working with the people to build teams where AI is a tool and part of the team, not following AI and just correcting it, which you have to do anyway. I run 2 programs. One's called AI-S for solopreneurs, and another is AI-E for entrepreneurs and small businesses. And each of them has a different idea of the floor and ceiling results from the AI plans. That's where we begin. So consider this, what we're doing here, like performance in training. Enter and increase according to what you can do and will be able to do over time, because it does take time. Factor that in. Estimate before what you're doing. Measure during it. How are you going to measure saving time? How are you going to measure generating revenue? How are you going to know you're doing well? It sounds really obvious, but many are skipping this step. Measure during and summarize after for improvements, and even ask AI to be part of the process and factor it in as any other team member's input. And remember that engineering/coding, programming, financial markets, and marketing sales are the 3 areas where change is rampant and moving very quickly throughout industries. AI sort of seems to cut the entry-level jobs and middle-level management, But everywhere that it's happening, it's custom. There are no two ways to fit it. So let's talk to my solopreneurs, of which I am one. It's all admin, scheduling, and support. That's what we're talking about from AI. Your floor as a solopreneur starts with the basics: scheduling, customer support, chatbots, maybe, but working your support better, the response mechanisms you have, especially triggering emails based on people's activity with your list, your website, maybe even your social channels. You're aiming for more time to focus on your business. So maybe you want to look at reducing admin tasks by 20%. Your ceiling, you could develop personalized services or products. Do the work as I'm doing with this podcast. It would literally have taken me 2 employees 2 years ago. But with AI, I'm able to pretty much do it all myself. And you might find a ceiling where you could double your customer base or, get a 40% increase in income. I want you to dream, but what can you honestly be able to reach? With a solopreneur, make sure you're honest about your floor, where you're beginning, and see the ceiling as a work in progress. Some find higher and higher ceilings, others level off. AI, again, all custom fits, but your numbers to benchmark. Time spent on administrative tasks. Really be accountable, especially during this test, and see if AI even improves it. Don't assume that. Customer growth. Given more time, are you able to do the more important things in your business, like outreach, growth, getting people to join you? Profit changes. Always with solopreneurs, look at the profits, not the gross sales. Some see it go down, keep an eye on it. If it is going down, obviously you want to give it some time, but don't just think plugging it in and letting it work is going to change it. And then the level of service or product customization. Now, many of these things are similar customization, again, for small businesses, but time savings in this case is the low-hanging fruit. Revenue-driven activities long-term, so short-term saving time. The floor, think of what you can automate. The minimum saving a few hours. I mean, Rob Beresford of Affiliate.ai talks about saving 1 to 3 hours a day. You hear this repeatedly, 20%, 30% time savings. Look for those, improve on common mistakes, and maybe a floor would be 10% improvement in speed to finishing your tasks or a 5% reduction in cost due to automation. As a small business, you know better than we do, but you want to know that you have some guide that this is actually working, because there will be a time to integrate in your business that will take a little extra time for training, and that will interrupt some of what you're doing. So you want to push this in a little bit at a time. Now, the ceiling for a small business transforms the business. Maybe enabling new products, making customer service way better. That's one of your first things. Or opening new markets. Maybe it's a 50% increase in customer satisfaction scores, or 30% growth in revenue through new AI-driven services or products. Customize a solution to your business. And look at the numbers that you'll have saving wasted time, what I call for small business, LTVT, long-term value of time. How much does that time just save you at the beginning when you use AI? Do the same problems arise? Was it easier doing it without AI? And when AI took somebody's place or took part of their job, did you help support them to find out what they could do more of with their time? Because this is a new way of doing business. Look at revenue growth. Predictive analytics and the customer experience is what smart marketers do. The data, analytics for like visits to a website, where people check out, where you lose them, do they open an email, bringing all this data together and back again to customer ratings. Because custom fit means don't rely on what others do. Rely on your customers. Use this to help get closer to customers and get more time. Their performance, though, is no indicator of your future performance. You're in charge, and what anyone else does is not really about you as a solopreneur or as a small business. It's not about what you're doing. It's got to fit into your world. So define the floor and ceiling for your AI integration and engage your people. Help them understand where we're at and where we hope to go. And review these regularly, every 90 days at least. Pick the metrics and the KPIs that matter to your business. Work with AI and review those, challenge them. This is a chance to really take your business to a new level and not just get stuck in the old ruts. Create measurements, benchmarks. How do you know it's working? How does it impact costs? How does it impact revenue? How do people feel? Do they enjoy it like holiday extras where everyone's really psyched and word of mouth spread about using AI, that everybody learned from their fellow workers that they can do this? And review those benchmarks to ensure that AI is aligning with your business. After all, we want to move beyond minimal AI results, the floor, and unearth counterintuitive AI strategies to your small business or solo venture. Know your limits and don't give in to them, but understand what you're working with, what's possible. Define your floor and ceiling. And by the way, you may free up that time and be a solopreneur and say, you know what, I'm going to spend it with my family. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point of freeing time, to do what you want and start improving your results. Because the people who are integrating with AI are not just geniuses by any chance. The best ones are actually people who are team builders and get everybody working and excited to be on the same page as AI instead of looking at it as a threat.